KFCF listeners on the radio and on the line at kfcf.org. Welcome to the 4th Annual Smoggies Award Ceremony, the Central San Joaquin Valley's premier event honoring journalists who captured 2024's worst quotes and votes from political and community leaders. Now please welcome to the stage the hosts of Climate Politics and your MCs for the evening's festivities, Kevin Hall and Lars Maischak.
Thank you. Welcome to the Smoggies. My, what a warm reception, Lars. Can't you just feel the heat?
Good evening, everybody. Yes, Kevin, it's like a furnace in here. If excitement was renewable energy, this audience could power Fresno for a week.
Lars, it looks like we might have started a little early. I see people are still making their way into the theater. Let's check in with Rych N95 Withers, who once again is working the red, sometimes purple carpet.
Please allow me. Are you there, Rych? How are your lungs holding up?
Lars, Kevin, greetings to all of our listeners. Breathing is getting harder out here by the minute. Rush hour traffic exhaust is mixing with diesel truck smoke, laced with dairy, ammonia, and dust drifting in from the west. The carpet is turning purple already and headed for the new level of black, like my lungs.
That is a deadly combination. What is that? Oh. Rych,
wait a second. Those fumes are much closer than I thought. It looks like the herd from Producers Dairy's crashing the doors.
You'd better let them in. As they say, this valley belongs to the farmers. The rest of us just live here.
Oh, yeah, but developers and Big Oil own big pieces, too, which brings us to the point of this evening's awards.
Tonight we'll be honoring the reporters who in 2024 gave us the stories and quotes that, however, inadvertently, reveal the power structure, the values, and the political failures of this region and its self-proclaimed leaders.
Möchtegern-Führer is what we would call them in Germany.
Wow, nice. I'll get back to you on the Irish for that, but Quislings is a term we commonly use for the kind of people we'll be quoting tonight. We have 15 nominees competing in 4 awards categories. They are Worst Vote, So Fresno It Hurts, Facilitating Fascism, and Climate Collapse, followed by the grand prize Quote of the Year.
The winning reporters will receive the prestigious Golden Inhaler Award in honor of all that is deadly yet profitable in the San Joaquin Valley, presented this year in honor of the millionaires running Valley Children's Hospital, a region's most profitable nonprofit. Yeah, that includes you, Clovis City Council member Lynn Ashbeck.
Cashback?
It's Ashbeck.
Our first awards category tonight is Worst Vote of the Year. But before we hear from the reporters, let's hear from our first musical guest of the evening. Please welcome to the Smoggy stage Ms. Billie Eilish singing her 2019 song, All the Good Girls Go to Hell.
Hills burn in California, my turn to ignore ya. Don't say I didn't warn ya. That really hits close to home, doesn't it? It's such a apropos chorus for our tonight's show.
It's a good
Thank you, Miss Eilish.
Terrific way to open her. Lucifer is lonely. He wouldn't be lonely around here for long, Lars. So, who are the nominees for their coverage of the worst vote in 2024?
Well, here we go. We have 3. First up, a past winner of multiple Smoggies, Fresno Land reporter Gregory Weaver, for his February article, Fresno County's new general plan blows past California's climate goals by 300%. This won't be a direct quote. It's for thorough coverage of the unanimous vote taken by the Fresno County Board of Supervisors. But here is the paragraph that says it best.
Quote, Fresno County Supervisors unanimously approved a controversial update to the county's general plan on Tuesday, setting the stage for a development boom on the Kings and San Joaquin rivers that could worsen air quality, accelerate farmland loss, and potentially blow past the county's state-mandated climate emissions budget by 300%, unquote.
Well, hold your horses. Here's our second nominee.
Good crowd. I like this crowd.
I know. Gosh, they're worked up. A second nominee is veteran reporter Tim Sheehan of the Fresno Bee for his article, Tough Love for Homeless, How Fresno Leaders Will Enforce new no camping law. Here now is the disembodied voice of the Fresno Bee reader with a quote from Fresno Mayor Jerry Dyer.
We're not trying to be out there arresting people and taking away their freedoms and being unmerciful, Dyer told reporters Monday in a press conference. Just the opposite. We want to help people, but in order to help people, sometimes there has to be some tough love, and that's what we're trying to incorporate here.
Oh, man. Mayor Dyer is only getting worse, Lars. You know, we talked about this on a show, one of our climate politics shows earlier in the year, about this tough love concept as, of course, having been disproven time and again by psychologists. It's BS.
On a private level, on a level of interaction between humans, it's just an excuse for abuse. On a political level, it is simply social Darwinism, plain and simple, you know. And it may well be that social Darwinism is the guiding principle behind many of these political decisions and views that our fine reporters have been giving us the news about. It sure looks like it.
Well, the feudal techno-lords at the top of the whole movement certainly are firm believers in this, the Silicon Valley concept.
Oh, yes.
So, one more. Our final nominee in the worst vote category is a regular here on Climate Politics. It's Community Alliance reporter Bob McCloskey. This is for his December article, Fresno, a Cruel and Unusual City, Community Alliance. Dennis, would you give us your best Bob imitation, please?
Certainly. Well, not really. Quote, when the 5 liberal Democrats on the Fresno City Council joined forces with 2 MAGA Republicans, Mayor Jerry Dyer and City Council member Gary Bredefeld, to pass and implement the most draconian anti-camping ordinance in the United States, they opened the gates of hell, a living hell for street family members. People are forced to walk aimlessly every day in an attempt to avoid contact with the police, unquote.
Yeah, you can boo that. Absolutely.
Please.
2 nominees from the same issue, Fresno's attack on the homeless, plus the county board's vote to sprawl into the eastern foothills. So when you look at this, you were saying earlier how this is the tech lords and so forth, one of the chief tech lords being Musk, and now in charge of dismantling the government in this slow-walked fascist coup that nobody acknowledges. He has called people a parasite class. He has referred to the people who are now being targeted for defunding their congressionally mandated lawful payments in these terms. It is consistent with what I've heard Tea Partiers say in the Central Valley for decades now.
Yeah.
Or consider Darren Beatty, who is a newly enthroned State Department or invested State Department official who has gone on record that there are feral populations in this country who should be sterilized. In other words, from the social Darwinism, we're taking the next step to the eugenics. And it is consistent with a fascist worldview.
Well, you refer to it as a slow coup. I call it an elongated one.
It is elongated.
Okay, so here, all right, to the award. Here on Climate Politics, we regard unsheltered people as being on the front line of climate change, which is why it's such an important topic on the show on a regular basis and here tonight, and dominates the news locally, regardless of the cause of their situation. Hundreds of millions more people are projected to be on the move in the next 10 to 20 years. May we have the envelope, please? And the winner is Bob McCloskey, Community Alliance for Fresno, a Cruel and Unusual City.
Good. Can I say I was rooting for Bob? I wish he could have been here with us today. He has other obligations. Well done, Bob. Well done. And that's one for Yokuts Valley.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Hey, by the way, has anyone heard from Rych lately? Dennis, let's check on the action outside the theater. Rych, are you there?
We're all still here, Lars. Cows, people, cars, trucks. The carpet's turned to a deep purple. The air is brown. My lungs are full. I think I'm ready to come inside and hit Rick Flores' oxygen tank.
Excellent idea, Rich. You got me coughing. You don't want to miss our next musical act, introducing the next awards while Rich and the Herd come on in. This is introducing our next awards category, So Fresno It Hurts.
Yes. And it makes for a great seg. So many children and grandchildren in this valley have forgotten their Dust Bowl roots and refugee status. The descendants of the oppressed have become the oppressors. They will tell you that the ancestors who suffered and migrated were different, of course. They had that magic work ethic. They will tell you that these current migrants lacked that attitude and therefore don't deserve help. And so they show us here, too, that social Darwinism is still the gateway drug to open fascism. It lets you discard and disregard whole populations as unworthy. So, Fresno, it hurts.
Please welcome to the Smoggy stage, Mr. Woody Guthrie, singing his song from 1930, I Ain't Got No Home in This World Anymore. Thank you, Woody Guthrie. From 1930 to 2025, not much has changed. The category is So Fresno It Hurts. Who are tonight's nominees, Lars?
Folks, we have 4 entries vying to win the Smoggy in the category of So Fresno It Hurts. Up first, we have Pablo Orihuela of the online news site Fresnoland for his August article, Fresno County moves toward anti-camping ordinance. They say doesn't target the homeless. Dennis, will you do the honors?
Of course. Quote, Jacob Zellian is a pastor at Set Free Church in Sanger. Zellian said his church goes out into the community to help homeless residents reach supportive services. It's so easy to stay outdoors because they're comfortable there, Zellian said. We have to make it uncomfortable so that they'll want to change. Unquote.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we boo more at these events than we applaud, don't we? Yes, we applaud.
It comes with a territory.
Every category.
Mm-hmm.
From the cruelty of ministers to that of politicians, our next nominee is Hannah Gonzalez of KC24 News for her report, Fresno County leaders urge Governor Newsom to veto warehouse regulation bill.
And we have the recording of this one. Take a listen to Fresno City Council member Annalisa Perea standing up for diesel truck pollution coming from the explosive growth in warehouse distribution centers in South Central Fresno. This press conference was held at the Chamber of Commerce, of course. Where else?
Central Valley leaders believe if AB 98 became law, it would jeopardize the future growth of our area.
Legislation imposes a one-size-fits-all approach to a state as diverse as California.
Fresno City Council President Annalisa Pereira says AB 98 will hit businesses where it hurts the most.
Not to mention the $50,000 fines for these cities who do not comply with AB 98.
Perea 3.0 came into office vowing to cut the red tape and roll out the red carpet for more industrial development like her brother and father before her. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, if at all. Our second would-be grasper of the golden inhaler tonight is Tiffany Olin of ABC 30 News for her report, Bitwise co-founders break silence post-apology letter.
Irma Olguin Jr. and Jake Sobral pleaded guilty Wednesday in federal court to wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. The charges are tied to last year's collapse of the Fresno-based company, which led to the layoffs of more than 900 employees. Olguin Jr. posted a long letter on X on behalf of herself and Sobral. They admit to lying to keep the company running and acknowledge they will owe many people, quote, millions upon millions of dollars. The letter goes on to read, quote, we are sorry to have abused and broken the trust you placed in us, and we are sorry for the money that you entrusted in us that you may never get back.
Poor Fresno, once bitten, but none the wiser.
That last line in there about the money you may never get back?
You're not going to see that money again.
Oh, God, I doubt it. But that was indeed a very painful episode for hundreds of workers and their families here in Fresno and other cities. But there are plenty of more people still promising to somehow save Fresno from itself.
Well, the category is So Fresno It Hurts. The shoe seems to fit. Our next nominee is Miss Wealthy Jenner of CentralValley.com, channels 24 and 47, for her report, This is How Fresno Helps Its Homeless, especially in triple-digit heat.
But the Fresno Mission CEO says the searing heat can have an unintended positive impact on those experiencing homelessness.
So we do appreciate that when the weather starts turning bad, the heat causes people to say, I don't want this life anymore. I don't want to live and it's 110 on the street. And so we've seen increased demand for our life transformation services.
Lars, is it just me, or have we now heard from two sadistic ministers tonight?
I think that about sums it up. It's the early 19th century Victorian philosophy that it's their choice. The poor are poor because they want it that way, and it's in their mind, and they just have to find the right path. It makes me sick. And it's also the mayor and the entire city council that subscribe to this completely debunked, antiquated philosophy. And for the ministers, there's Christian charity, and then there's tough love. The former feeds the hungry, heals the sick, and houses the homeless.
Nice.
And the latter is just a justification for fascism. So no, it gives love a bad name, really. How's that for Valentine's Day?
Oh, that's a good point. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
May all your love be gentle and none of it tough.
Beautiful.
So I guess we're ready for the envelope. We've had our nominees.
Yes.
Dennis, please, would you? And the winner of the Smoggy for So Fresno It Hurts is Wealthy Jeaner for this. Yes! Hooray! This is how Fresno helps its homeless. What's happening? Oh, it's the cows.
They're back. That's the second award tonight, tied to the city's MAGA Supreme Court approved attack on the civil and human rights of an entire segment of society. If you tuned in late, welcome. You're listening to the 2024 Smoggies Awards, co-hosted by me, Kevin Hall, and Dr. Lars Maischak.
Yeah, and this is a special broadcast of our regular show, Climate Politics, which airs here on KFCF every second and fourth Friday of the month from 5 to 6 p.m. Twice a month, the fourth and the second Friday. And there we ask the question of our time: can our political climate change quickly enough to cope with climate change?
Tonight's winners will receive the prestigious Golden Inhaler Award, an original piece of digital artwork created by none other than Mike Beavers, former co-host of Climate Politics and longtime KFCF board member. Yay, give it up for Mike. And you can see the Golden Inhaler for yourself by visiting the KFCF Facebook page once I get home tonight, and remember to post it there.
I'll remind you.
I think this would be a good time, now that I believe Rich has made it in from the cough factory outside. There's the inhaler. He's been on the oxygen tank for a few minutes, and we'll see if that's worked. Folks, we just want to take a minute here and talk with Rich about the role of KFCF in our community and how you can help us or support us.
KFCF provides alternative voices and outlet in our community, and that's one of the important things about...
Wait, are you suggesting we're alternative voices?
Yes.
We're bringing all these mainstream quotes. Sorry, go ahead.
Other programs, too.
Okay.
But, you get to hear a lot of, stuff that you wouldn't hear on your local, CBS or NBC or ABC station in many cases. You get to hear about what's actually happening in terms of climate politics, what's happening in the way of all sorts of political things that aren't being covered in terms of, locally, statewide, Washington, D.C., and wherever Elon lives these days. Mm-hmm. And KFCF is here to do that. But one of the important things is you can support KFCF, but when you do that, you're not only supporting it for yourself, but you're supporting it for the people who can't afford to help us out. Mm-hmm. Keep that in mind when you make a donation to KFCF during our pledge drive starting next Tuesday.
Can I just add some self-serving, self-promoting bit here without naming names? I was approached by a local journalist, Ulrich. I'm sorry that you're still suffering. I hope you'll be recovered by the time the show is over. Or is it just my boastfulness that gives you a hard time? I was approached by a local Fresno journalist the other day who said that he listened to our show at one point and thought this is so needed and so absolutely necessary, and nobody else is doing that kind of clear commentary on the imminent threat of fascism. Everybody else is still having their head in the sand, and it's unconscionable. It is the absolute failure of all the people who are supposed to play the fourth estate to have their eyes on the machinations of power. They're in it. They're part of it. They're getting their funds from the same kind of sources. So this is what we can do for you here at KFCF.
And we're doing this in the context, of course, of this elongated coup. And Rich, you were mentioning that there are threats coming to public radio.
Yes, the current chairman of the FCC, who was upped by President Trump just by a letter because he was already on the FCC, he wrote the chapter in Project 2025 that talks about taking out PBS, CPB, NPR, and Pacifica, and other non-commercial entities. Just taking them off the air, getting rid of them. And he's now the head of the FCC, and he's already done a few things. He's already gone after PBS and NPR and CPB over some of their underwriting. He's also just doing a bunch of things. KCBS up in San Francisco did a news story about an ICE raid in San Jose. And mentioned that there was a raid going on and where it was in San Jose, and that they were whatever type of vehicles they were, and he's going after them for I guess some type of violation. I don't know what that is. I thought it was called journalism. I didn't realize journalism was against the rules.
That is the violation. It is a direct attack on freedom of the press. And what you're saying here is that this guy wants to, and they can, unilaterally revoke the broadcasting licenses, right?
Right. They'll find some reason to do it. They may, they're saying, well, we don't like the way you're reporting that story. You're not serving the public. Therefore, that's one of the things you have to do when you apply for a license. You say, I will serve the public. And we have to file a 5-6 page report every 3 months showing how we're serving the public to the FCC.
Well, once again, we're speaking here with station manager Rich Withers at KFCF 88.1 FM in Fresno. Your support is always needed and welcome. He doesn't have to go back outside, but the oxygen tank is available. And I would thank you, Rich, very much.
You're welcome.
And we look forward to next week's pledge drive, and hope folks will join in the fun and become members.
Yep, let's do that. But now it's time to move on to our third category of the evening, facilitating fascism. Those democratic institutions and norms don't disappear all on their own. They need a compliant, weak-kneed opposition. And the political system is filled with such, especially at our local level.
Quislings, I bring up the word again, is how my people refer to them. Vichy Fresno works well, too. As you might expect, this is the most crowded competition of the evening, and many fine, awful quotes didn't even make the cut. But before we hear from this year's nominees for facilitating fascism, let's hear their theme song, because remember, it's all about being a part of the inner circle for these folks, right, Lars? No matter what the cost to others?
That is the point. They're all part of this cult of middle management. It's the professional managerial class that thrives on opportunism, cowardice, servility, and other markers of competence and expertise. It is a cult in that it has lost all capacity for self-reflection. Whatever happens, it's never their fault, and thereby all capacity for self-correction. So they can continue being wrong about everything and then wonder what happened. Now, please welcome to the Smoggies stage Mr. Dobie Gray singing his hit from 1965, The In Crowd.
They are. Thank you, Dobie Gray. Boy, talk about quislings and identitarians. That was a good segue. Now let's hear about our local in crowd. Our first nominee in the facilitating fascism category is Mark Rosowski for his column in the Fresno Bee titled A Sensible Protest? Pro-Palestinian Students at Fresno State Show It's Possible.
This is a nomination well-deserved. Both the opinion writer and the person quoted are waving the white flags for themselves and others. Let's hear the worst quote nomination as read by the Fresno Bee machine.
I think there is something to be said for what you might call the luxury of being able to demonstrate, Boehnen said. It's a feeling of, I know that if I go to jail my parents are going to bail me out, or I know I can afford an expensive lawyer. I'm not trying to downplay anyone's activism, but it's a different situation when you know you have to show up to a job or watch your sister's kids.
That was the longtime faculty union president John Boehnen, English professor at Fresno State. And in this function as faculty union president, of course, one of the collaborators with fascist terror. The one time he brings out class war is when he's discussing militant protesters at an elite university, showing once again that much of this lower middle class radicalism or upper middle class radicalism is really still rooted in lower middle class resentment.
That's what we used to call a cop-out.
Yep.
Don't expect too much from others, so they won't expect too much from you. To me, it's weakness personified. Okay, our next nominee is Omar Rashad for his article in Fresno Land, Did Political Connections Shape Coverage of Fresno Police Chief's Affair?
Dennis, would you do the honors, please, and read the excerpt that earned this nomination?
Quote, while GV Wire's coverage does not disclose that its publisher, Assemi, or its affiliate, Granville Homes, donated to Wamhoff's campaign, Assemi said the two are separate. Quote, we're an award-winning news site that is separate and independent of my political thoughts, Assemi told Fresno Land, and Assemi added that for most of the stories published on GV Wire, quote, I don't even see or read until a day or two after they're published.
Hilarious. Most articles, not all, as if that's the point, when he reads it. This is a fascinating piece of reporting on two right-wing websites that pose as legitimate news sources to push their pro-development agenda. Assemi's is an internal organ, while the other is a freelance political operation.
Speaking of the dread developer Darius, our next nomination comes straight from a September 26, 2024 City Council recording. So I suppose the nominee is City Clerk Todd Sturmer and staff, or whoever is in charge of hitting the record button at City Hall.
That works for me. In late September, Council members Annalisa Perea and Mike Kerbasi were upset with a successful lawsuit brought by the South Fresno Community Alliance against the city for trying to ignore public health and climate change impacts of its growth plan. Here's Perea 3.0 interacting with City Attorney Andrew Jans, followed by Kerbasi, as in Kerbasi, controlled by Assemi.
There's no one that knows Fresno better than us and the people that elected us to make these really tough decisions.
The hubris here is as thick as butter. She speaks for them all. They know it all. Here's a bit more.
City Attorney, who was it that kind of created this delay? Who sued us on the PEIR?
It's South Fresno Community Alliance.
South Fresno Community Alliance, and who makes up that group?
I am not intimately familiar with their membership. I don't know if there's someone else here that would know.
Okay. Just want to make that clear because this project is delayed in essence, and we have to do an EIR. We have to start from scratch to some degree, and it is currently at the cost of over $300,000, which we do not have at the moment.
All right, folks, settle down. The city violates the law, right? And now these two are blaming the victims, the people who dared to make them follow the law. And that same day, they voted $7 million for a new police helicopter.
If there's so much disdain for our democracy, as is clearly evident from Perea 3.0's voice in this recording, that annoyance that these peasants dare speak up, no wonder this country is ripe for fashion.
Well, somebody really brings that tone, and that's the representative from Northwest Fresno and Jans. Here is Kerbasi.
I would encourage your committee members. City Attorney, what was the name of the group that sued for the PEIR?
South Fresno Community Alliance.
I would encourage you to reach out to the people at the South Fresno Community Alliance and ask them why they took the action they took that puts important work like your work and work across this entire city, north, south, east, and west, at severe jeopardy.
Bear in mind now that Kerbasi voted in 2021. Thank you, folks. We appreciate the support. Voted in 2021 to proceed with the illegal action and ignored warnings from Leadership Council. The city was ignoring well-established environmental law. All right, folks, may we have the envelope, please?
And the winner is the city clerk and staff for their recording of the September 26th City Council meeting.
Beautiful. Congratulations. Time now to take a minute out of the regular program and have a talk with Station Manager Rich Withers of KFCF. Rich, welcome to the Smoggies, and welcome in from the purple carpet.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Glad to be here, and it's not too bad this week because of the rain. So the odor from the cows wasn't too bad.
Oh, yeah.
It only made it to dark purple.
Yes, and Rich, we just want to express our appreciation to KFCF and all of its members and supporters, because it gives us a platform to bring our little voices out here, a couple times a month on climate politics and trying to raise issues we think are really important for the community.
And that's the history of KFCF. It's been involved in a lot of outspoken voices over the years. In fact, it came out of voices from Fresno State that were fired because they were liberals. So they fired the La Raza, the Black Studies, the union members. It was all in 1968. Ronald Reagan was governor, and they were going to get rid of those damn liberals. Yep. And they were going to start in Fresno. And they formed the foundation in order to have a place to be able to write off their taxes for their defense fund. And the KFCF came out of that about 7 years later. And we've been here for 50 years in June. And we need your support to stay on another 50 years.
Yes.
But we need your support morally, physically, mentally. Give it to us.
Yes, please. It's all important. And one last thing, Rich, maybe you let folks know about the special concert series that we're doing.
Yeah, we're doing a series called Tower Live, KFCF series. Our next one is next Friday, and it's going to be at 7 p.m. It'll be at the dance studio, not the dance studio, the Vista Theater down the street. And if you hang on just a second here.
And these are free concerts, folks. They're live, of course, and we have a couple of great hosts in my two friends, who's Roger Perry and Blake Jones, right, Rich?
Right. And it's 1296 North Wilson at the Fresno Music Academy and Arts. It's right next door to it, and they actually own the building there, that part of it, or whatever. And 7 to 9 p.m. It's free seating in person if you want to come, but it'll be broadcast live. And this month we'll have Matthew Embry, Aline Reed, who does spoken word, John Clifton, who does blues, and Cloudship, which does alternative rock and Americana. And that's the March show. April has some really good stuff, May, and then we got 4 shows planned in June, and we hope to see you at them, or at least tune in and listen.
Awesome. Thank you, Rich. We appreciate it, and we appreciate this station. It's time for the next Smoggies Awards category, Climate Collapse, and another song to open this section of the show here on KFCF 88.1 FM in Fresno, your listener-owned and operated independent voice for Central California.
Do you sometimes feel nostalgic for those times when it looked like we might still turn the corner on climate change?
Oh, stop.
This song is for you. Please welcome to the Smoggies stage Miss Mary Hopkin, singing her 1968 hit, Those Were the Days. Feel free to sing along.
Ouch. Okay. Mary Hopkin, folks. Time now for the first nominee for the Climate Collapse Smoggy. It's a national news source, Major Garrett of CBS News, for his interview in May called Tom Steyer on How to Win the War Against Climate Change. It's called Climate Capitalism, baby.
We have an ability to actually win this in the marketplace. That's why I call it cheaper, faster, better products. That's how we'll actually solve this problem, by producing products that people want to buy, that are clean, and that the United States should be leading the way on this.
Well, so much for useless stuff. That's one billionaire who says we can buy our way out of the climate crisis, and he has the product for it. Our next nominee is Pablo Orihuela and City Councilman Carbasi, again, for his November article, Finger-Pointing and Frustration Fuel Debate Over Fresno County's Sunsetting Regional Road Tax.
I want to send a message. I am not willing to cede any control to an unelected body. I know they're pushing for that. Every mayor on COG is elected. Every council member here works hard and is elected. To give that power away to unelected people with an agenda that we've now learned get funded by the Kresge Foundation and the California Endowment, and money from out of town to sue us into submission and to raise the cost of housing, to take jobs away from this community, I can't support that. So I'm open to any community organization that wants to come to the table and negotiate in good faith. But if you're going to basically practice economic terrorism, I'm going to completely shut you out.
Carbasimi really brings the ugly, doesn't he? That was his Steve Brandau poverty pimps moment. Ironically, this overgrown adolescent likes to compare himself to Mr. Spock from Star Trek, crediting himself with remaining unemotional and applying his infallible logic to every problem. It's really quite pathetic, yet so Fresno.
Oh, the lords of the valley are displeased with the protests of the peasants, and Mr. Carbasi is the jester who acts out that ire. I know Mr. Spock, Mike. You are no Mr. Spock.
The next nomination is based on another city council action that will never hold up in court and, more importantly, will directly contribute to climate collapse. It's Greg Weaver again from Fresno Land, this time for his December article, As Fresno's Housing Crisis Deepens, City Considers Another Extension for Zombie Southeast Mega Development. Dennis?
Quote, beyond the market contradictions, the project faces mounting environmental challenges. CETA would generate 510,000 tons of carbon dioxide emissions annually, according to the city's environmental review for the project, nearly canceling out the 559,000-ton reduction the city committed to in its 2021 climate plan. Unquote.
Our final entry in the contest for the Climate Collapse Smoggy is once again the Fresno City Clerk's Office, this time for its December recording of the City Council discussion of the South Central Specific Plan, and the speaker is Central Fresno Rep. Tyler Maxwell.
I'm of the mindset that we need to work on a more business-friendly plan, one that is not more restrictive than AB 98. So I would think that if there's anybody else of that mindset, should be on the subcommittee together to start working towards that new plan. And that's going to be more business-friendly and not more restrictive toward the businesses out there.
Okay, so what he's saying is he wants weaker protections and less regulation and leave it to business, Talk about unelected economic terrorists. Anyway, the envelope, please. Wait, the bucket first. All right. Now the envelope, please. The winner is Pablo Orihuela of Fresno Land for his article, Finger-Pointing and Frustration Fuel Debate Over Fresno County's Sunsetting Regional Road Tax.
All right.
Congratulations,
Congratulations, Pablo, for taking home the Golden Inhaler. Coming up shortly is the biggest smoggy of the night, quote of the year. All of the entries you've heard tonight are nominated, but before we get to that, we have a special Lifetime Achievement Award to present.
Here now for the final musical number of the evening, singing a tribute to the vision of our final two honorees. Please welcome to the Smoggy stage, Mr. Louis Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. Folks, while it's mostly bad news out there these days from the fascist coup in D.C. and the many local failures outlined tonight, to the news of accelerating climate change and species collapse, we take heart here at Climate Politics by focusing on the resistance.
And while a Lifetime Achievement Award might seem a little premature, given the youth of tonight's recipient, she has accomplished more in the last decade than most people get done in a lifetime. From needle exchange and contraceptive distribution work as a student at Fresno State, to her leadership on the Measure P for Parks Tax and Measure C Transportation for All, plus countless youth and civic engagement projects, she has touched and improved the lives of millions of Valley residents.
Her latest effort, and as always done as part of a strong coalition, is addressing the theft of nearly $1 billion in funds meant for Fresno's downtown hospital. Here's a clip of her speaking to Ben Morris of YourCentralValley.com last August.
Whether you're white, black, Latino, working class, or high income, none of those demographics should matter in terms of the level of service that you receive at the hospital. But community health system has created these stark differences.
Sandra Celadon, President and CEO of Fresno Building Healthy Communities, represents one of two organizations along with Cultiva La Salud suing Community Health System, claiming a misuse of Medi-Cal funds to build up Clovis Community Medical Center. They say while making disproportionate investments in downtown Fresno's CRMC, a diverse low-income area.
We've been able to track over $1 billion that has been used in the last 14 years to expand Clovis, while the facilities are allowed to decay in downtown Fresno.
Congratulations to Sandra Celadon, CEO of Fresno Building Healthy Communities. And this was a month ago before we knew about her running for anything. We're all in your debt and hope you earn several more Lifetime Achievement Awards before you're done.
Well, that's often the case. I mean, our Lifetime Achievement Awards have been considered a springboard for political office. And I would like to add my congratulations to you, Sandra. Thank you. Yes, it is. Before we conclude the ceremonies, we would like to thank all the KFCF members and volunteers who volunteer to serve on our board and committees here and at the Fresno Free College Foundation. It is a true community-based effort based on the fight for free speech in Fresno and beyond. Your support in all forms is greatly appreciated.
So please go to kfcf.org website and join today. Your membership donation goes entirely to support local costs. Speaking of money well spent, thank you to station manager Rich Withers and operation managers Dennis Thompson, two of the most dedicated free speech advocates you'd ever want to meet.
And all that remains is our grand prize of the evening, the Smoggie for Quote of the Year. We've heard a lot of great nominations already.
Yeah, there is no shortage of terrible things said and done around here.
Nope. There are some bright spots, usually tied to some form of resistance. Dennis, may we have the envelope, please? The quote of the year Smoggie. The quote of the year Smoggie goes to Blanca Bagard of Politico for her January article, How Boy Math is Dividing California Environmentalists, and her interview with Leslie Martinez of Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability.
Leslie was gracious enough to record her quote for us regarding boy math versus girl math.
Girl math is like when you return something and you have a gift card, so you made money. Boy math is you basically find ways to justify things you're doing. The actual math of the LCFS is like boy math in terms of how it only includes what it wants to include. It doesn't include the full picture.
This is the kind of logic that we in Germany used to call milkmaid math. But I like the rendering or regendering that's going on here, especially since the issue that Leslie is discussing is methane from dairy cows, and they're putting the cow back in accounting.
Oh. Ow. Congratulations to Blanca, and thank you to Leslie for joining in the fun here at the 2024 Smoggies, our 4th annual celebration of the worst quotes and votes made by elected and community leaders. Well, Lars, here we are. What do you suppose this is in store for 2025?
Suffering. Despair. Death and destruction. Or did you mean specifically?
Well,
I mean, the consolidation of a fascist state. Well, Democrats complain that that's against the law, and accompanied by the sound of liberals whining with learned helplessness, except to scold and deride the left.
Thank you.
For which purpose they'll save all their militant energy. For more details, tune in next time.
Yes, and before we go, I think we have just another minute or two to kick around people getting involved. Want to remind you again that there is a protest tomorrow. If you go to just online and search for Tesla Take Down Fresno, you will find that it's basically a map of all the events happening tomorrow around the country. And to your points earlier, Lars, the young woman up in Seattle who has been coordinating these is under attack.
I am not surprised. And they're already saying this is domestic terrorism.
But
so
she says the more of us that participate, the safer all of us will
be. You can't arrest everybody. And if you're too much of a coward to confront your fascist boss or the university donors that are paying your bills, maybe, just maybe, you can mock the owner of a Musk vehicle, of a swastika car, of an Incel Camino, of one of those.
There's also the Wank Panzer.
Oh, nice.
That's the Tesla truck.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's like definitely... or play that game, that we sometimes play on long road trips. You get a point for a blue car, or 2 points for a Tesla, 5 points for a Cybertruck, 10 points for a Tesla on fire.
Right. Well, yeah, and we again want folks to get out there and have a good time, and we believe very strongly in civic protest. We cannot give up the ground. We have to be present where they're present.
This is like pretty much a second before 12 here. It's the last chance to stop fascism. If you don't think it happens rapidly, gosh, you should have been there for the 2 months in January, February, and March 1933 in Germany. You had 200,000 people in Berlin in March, or was it February, protesting against fascism. 200,000 people. You had meetings in every town. That didn't save anybody. Yeah. That's not how it's done. You need to do those things, but you need to have pressure that is between a popular movement and representative in the institutions, and just plain old economic pressure.
Yeah.
Boycotts are a good starting point. A general strike would really be what can bring this down. It happened twice in Germany in the 1920s. General strikes prevented fascist coups, and that's if you don't want to wait for it to end up in a big flame out of all-out war, civil or otherwise, That is what needs to happen.
Yes, and start with your union leadership if you're in one, because, boy, that's one of our greatest opportunities for bringing resources to the fight.
Burn that down.
Please join us, Kevin Hall and Lars Maischak, on the second and fourth Fridays of each month from 5 to 6 p.m. for regular episodes of Climate Politics. Speaking of which, we're going to sign off with our usual outro featuring Brian Kenny Fresno playing Sometime. Coming up next, it's the Pacific Evening News from KPFA with continuing coverage of the Israeli genocide in Gaza and the Trump-Musk coup. You've been listening to Climate Politics. I'm Kevin Hall. Congratulations to all tonight's winners. Thank you to Lars Maischak at the mic, Dennis Thompson in the control room, and station manager Rich Withers on cowbell. Thank you most of all to you, our listeners. Please support KFCF with a monthly subscription. Our theme music, again, is Sometime by Brian Kenny Fresno. This is KFCF 88.1 in Fresno. We're on the air every second and fourth Friday of the month from 5 to 6 p.m. Join us next time, and in the meantime, use less stuff. Tom Steyer.